Here is an orange. Technically it's a satsuma, I think, but I'm going to use it to help explain why 17 minutes might be all it takes to drastically change the way your body works. Doing short workouts just a few times per week could extend your life expectancy, reduce your risk of lifestyle-induced disease, and give you a much higher quality of life, both physically and mentally. To explain this, I need to take you back to 1757. You're on a British warship, months at sea, no sight of land. Salted meat with hard maggot-infested biscuits, no fresh food, cramped living conditions, and as if this wasn't bad enough, the constant fear of being confronted by a French frigate appearing through the thick sea mist. After a couple of weeks of this routine, sailors around you start to collapse, and you start to notice yourself bleeding gums, muscle wastage, open sores, and exhaustion. You've probably heard of this before. It's scurvy. On some voyages, more men died from scurvy than from actual battle. Then came James Lind. He was a Scottish surgeon who did something revolutionary. He ran one of the world's first ever clinical trials. He gave 6 sailors different treatments. And can you guess what James Lind gave some of the sailors? It was this. Well, it wasn't just this, it was this and lemons and limes. And within about a week, the sailors who had had citrus fruit had almost fully recovered. And that was a real turning point because now they knew that something as small and as simple as this could make such a massive difference and save thousands of lives. Now, the Royal Navy didn't actually make this mandatory until about 40 years later, when in 1795, citrus fruit became standard issue on long sea voyages, and the death rate from scurvy dropped to almost 0. So fast forward back to the modern day, and just like something as small as this made such a massive difference to the lives of these sailors, something as small as 3 17-minute kettlebell workouts a week can have genuinely a massive impact on your life. And one of my favorite studies was almost 10 years old at this point, but still very relevant. It's by Lee et al. From 2016. And just look at this graph. Initially, this graph might make you dizzy, but let me just explain what these weird numbers on the bottom mean. Along the bottom here, you'll see it says met hours per week. We can convert 1 hour of kettlebell training a week into the second point on this graph, about 8 met hours. And just look at the difference in all-cause mortality. That is basically your overall risk of kicking the bucket early. If you don't do any exercise, your risk is 1. It's average, it's just like everyone else's, but just doing 1 hour per week can reduce your risk by about 35%. But there's something else really interesting about this chart. If you look at all the other data points, they're not that much different to the first data point. So this study is essentially suggesting that once you start exercising for about an hour a week, or the equivalent of 8 met hours per week, any more exercise isn't necessarily more beneficial for your overall risk of kicking the bucket early. And we can split this roughly 1 hour of training up into 3 days per week, 20 minutes at a time. Now, in reality, it's a little bit more nuanced than this, but I want to keep it as simple as possible for the sake of the video. If you take nothing else from this video, I hope it is that doing a little bit of exercise, 20-minute workouts 3 times per week might reduce your overall risk by about 30 to 35%, which is absolutely massive. Now, I can already see some of the comments, but you said 17 minutes. Why are you talking about 20-minute workouts? Well, let's get into the second study that I want to talk about. This is a bit more recent. This is from 2021, and they had participants do a 2-minute warm-up and then a workout with 60 seconds on and 90 seconds off. This is a kind of structure that you might see in a lot of kettlebell workouts, where you do a certain amount of time on and then a certain amount of time recovering. In this study, they repeated it 5 times and then had a 2-minute cool down at the end. So the whole workout took 16.5 minutes. If you round it up, 17 minutes. Now, just like every other study, there are limitations, but let's talk about the positives and what it actually found. By the 4-week mark, they found significant improvements in cardiovascular fitness. They also found significant improvements in BMI, meaning that their body fat was on average reduced. And there was also a significant change in something called pronation angle of their thigh muscle. Now, I'm sure to a lot of people this means absolutely nothing, and I won't go into minute detail about what this actually means, but essentially this is a good indicator of increases in strength and power. Now, yes, I am cherry picking a little bit. This study was only done with 30 people, so it's on a very small sample size. And if you actually read through this study, I've linked it in the description if you're interested, it's clear that within the 4 weeks, there isn't really a significant improvement in things like blood pressure, which generally takes 8 to 12 weeks to start noticing drops in blood pressure. But I think it's a good example to show that even short, sharp sessions can have a drastic impact on your body in as little as 4 weeks of consistency. So you don't need a perfect training program. You just need something that you can stick to for 17 to 20 minutes 3 times per week. So if you want to take a more detailed look at potential workouts or programs that you could do, here are 2 videos that go over exactly that. This one here is a full, simple 7-day program or routine that you could do. And this one up here is a 15-minute workout that will have you questioning all of your life choices. Let me know how you go. Thanks for watching and see you next time.